Many sub-Saharan African countries are finding themselves caught on the horns of an economic dilemma. They need to tackle mountains of expensive debt, but to do so requires the unpopular move of slashing spending. So how did this come about? While sub-Saharan African economies have been hit by repeated shocks since 2020, including the global health crisis and conflict in Ukraine. At the same time, the continent's booming population and climate change mean the demand for public money is growing. Last week, the International Monetary Fund urged the region's policymakers to cut costly fuel subsidies and raise more in taxes. But higher taxes will hit populations that are often grappling with the cost of living crisis, and fuel subsidies are popular. However, the IMF is warning that there's more trouble ahead of economies stay on the current fiscal trajectory. In a recent report, it cautioned that the region's debt to GDP ratio, which has already doubled to 60% in the last decade, could rise a further 10 percentage points in the next 5 years. Developing countries' interest payments have grown faster than public spending on health, education and investment over the last decade, a UN report said in July. Sub-Saharan Africa's ratio of debt interest payments to government revenues has more than doubled in the last decade to 10.5%. According to the IMF, that's about 3 times the ratio of developed countries. In many nations, it's much higher. High interest rates make refinancing debt prohibitively expensive for most African countries and have weakened their currencies against the US dollar. The fear ultimately is the impact on services. The IMF's African Department Director, Abib Selassie, said that what they are trying to avoid is spending on health and education being harmed. But he warned that's exactly what could happen if the current situation persists. Oxfam International has forecast the public spending could drop in real terms for the next 5 years in 26 sub-Saharan African countries.